So in this one, I'm going to show you how to get good natural looking camera angles for your environments in Blender. This is one of the most important things when it comes to actually making a nice render. So being able to get a good camera angle can transform a bad render into something that actually does look good in the end. So this means that if you're not that good at Blender, or you're just kind of struggling with a scene or whatever, if you can just get this one thing right, you can make things that look a lot better than they should look for your current skill level. The lighting plays a big part too. I have a bunch of videos on lighting on my channel too, but we're just going to cover camera angles in this one, which is just as important in my opinion. Okay, so let me show you how I find camera angles and some examples of how I've shot different scenes and just some general tips to make this as easy as possible for you. Okay, so let's start in this scene. This is a render I finished a couple days ago. The way I actually work is I have one view that I keep in solid view. I was just doing that to look nice in the beginning, but this usually stays in solid view. Then I'll have a second viewport. This is just another viewport window that you can open up. Just, go to the edge of any window, drag that open, switch it to 3D viewport. I'll just leave that open on the camera view. If I just go to render view here, I have, there's just a default camera that I've added. We can just pull that back. So the way this works is I have my working viewport, nice and snappy. It's always in solid view or wireframe or whatever. This one down here stays in rendered view and stays connected to the camera view. The way you do that is just press numpad 0. That'll just snap you into what the camera sees. You can hit Control B, which will do this box select thing, and you can just click and drag over this and let go. And that'll just only capture what the camera is seeing and nothing else. And I'll just leave that there off to the side so I can always see what the final camera angle is going to look like as I'm moving stuff around and making changes to the render. Okay, so how do you actually find good angles? Well, let me show you how I might do this. So again, I've just added a fresh camera here, which is not, I've not really done anything except just move it back. Now the first thing you'll notice is when I'm building a scene, I'll choose a general direction and a pretty general camera angle and just kind of point it roughly in the direction I know I want to capture. If you look at this, there's stuff all in front of the camera here, but if I look this way, there's nothing behind there. So I knew making this that I was gonna capture something from this side of the render, and I just built it around that. Even if I didn't know the exact camera angle I was gonna choose, I knew the general direction at first. So the way I like to think about this is, you don't have to do it this way for every shot, but just in general, the way I think it's very helpful to think about this is, if you were physically in this place, holding an actual camera, walking around the room, where would you go to try and find a nice angle? What zoom level would you use, and where would you move around to try and find something that looks nice? Okay, so if we look at this, the default focal length here is 50 millimeters. All that means is the millimeters is just the zoom level, right? If you probably use this, if you drag this to the left, it zooms out. If you drag it to the right, it zooms in. If you've used a camera before, you'll understand this. Just to give you a really quick context of what zoom level this is, if you don't know, if you have an iPhone and you use the 1X camera, that'll be around 24 millimeters. That'll just be the equivalent of around that zoom level. And you can see that that's what that looks like here. The 2X camera on an iPhone will probably be around 50 millimeters. The 0.5 will probably be around like 16 millimeters. So like very wide. We're not changing the distance here at all. We're just changing literally how zoomed in or how zoomed out it is, right? If you just see, it's just zooming the camera in or out. So again, the default is 50. That's fine. You can make renders with that. It's not a problem. Like no focal length, as long as it's not outrageous, no focal length is really going to be a problem. It just depends on the look you want to go for. For an interior shot like this, you might want to zoom it out a little bit if you want to capture more of that space. So I usually, for a render like this, I'll usually actually zoom it out to maybe between 20 and 30 millimeters. So 24 millimeters is a good, very natural looking focal length that I'll use. It doesn't have to be exactly 24. It can be 23, it can be 25. It doesn't matter that much, but I've zoomed it out a little bit because if we were at 50, it's a little bit hard to see the rest of the environment. You can see no matter how far back I pull the camera, it's just a little bit hard to capture all of what I want to see in this render. Now this could work. It just depends what you want the image to look like. So having the camera pulled way back physically and then zooming it in is going to have a different look than pushing it forward and zooming it out. You can see we're capturing the kind of the same amount of stuff in the middle here, but then it just changes the way the whole scene looks if it's close zoomed out versus far away zoomed in. Okay, so let's just kind of leave this somewhere in the middle at around 24 millimeters to start. Again, you don't have to use that. It's just one I'm picking because I want to capture a good amount of stuff in the room here. Now, if you're walking around holding a camera, you're probably not going to be way up here or way super close to the ground. You're probably going to be somewhere kind of not too far off the ground. Maybe you could be crouched down, whatever, a little bit low to the ground, but you're not going to be like flying around probably. Now, a shot like this could work if you wanted to do that. That's certainly a shot that you could do, but just for the sake of keeping it simple, let's just focus on if we were holding an actual camera in the room walking around. Let's just pull it back here, and we could keep it in the center, just looking dead on straight down the hallway at this thing. That's fine, but it sometimes is nice to just move it off to one side or the other, because if you just add a camera and it's directly in the middle of the scene and everything's 100% perfectly lined up straight down the middle super precisely, it may just look a little bit fake or boring. Not necessarily, but it can. So sometimes I like to just move this off to the side. So let's just hit GX. Let's just pull it off to the side over here. Now, it looks a little bit unbalanced if I don't rotate this, because our central object of interest is kind of this center statue library thing. That's no longer in the middle of the frame. We have this big block off to the side, which kind of weighs down the image that way. It just feels very unbalanced pointing in this direction. So I'm just going to rotate the camera. So I'm going to hit RZ. I'm literally just going to rotate it this way. So just point it a little bit more this direction, just so that thing is a little bit more in the middle. And that's a lot more natural looking than what we just had before. Okay, I don't really like this streak of light down here. That's a change I could make with the lighting, or I could just move the camera so that it's a little bit past that, and we get a little bit more of just a dark area down here. And it's fine to move it back a little bit. If I don't like where it is, I can always just move it again or change the focal length, zoom it in or out slightly. There's no hard rules here. You can kind of put it anywhere, and you just have to kind of find something that feels right. Okay, so this is an angle I would render from, just like that. Now, that was pretty easy, and this scene is making it quite easy to find a natural looking angle. One of the most important things when it comes to actually having a nice render is you want to have a focal point. In other words, an object of interest that is more interesting than the rest of the scene around it. It doesn't always have to be like a super interesting, crazy object in the middle. In general, having a good camera angle, it does rely on having something interesting in the render that you're pointing it at. So you don't have to use a wide angle shot. One thing I'll do often is actually Shift D, like duplicate this camera. You'll see this one is still the active one because it has this, it's filled in here. This one's kind of an outline. What you can do is just hit Control Numpad 0. That'll bring you into this new camera you've added. The old one is still there, so if you want to go back to this angle, you just Control Numpad 0 back into that one. And it lets you try out a bunch of different angles really quickly. If you want to just go to this one, we can just move this way back. Let's zoom this one into like 35 millimeters, right? And then we can get a different look here. That's another angle I would render from. Like this also works. There's no one camera angle that only works for a shot, right? One thing I should mention is depth of field here. For a wide angle shot, it's not something I'll do that often. I'll just use the focus distance eyedropper and just click on this bookshelf over here. The f-stop I've set to 22 here. The default is 2.8, which what this is doing is it's blurring out objects that are not in the focal range. So there's a certain distance range where the camera is going to be in focus, and a certain range where past that it's going to be out of focus on either end. If I crank this really low, you'll see that the blur amount is going to increase the lower I get here, closer to 0. And eventually it'll get to the point where it feels like everything is miniature. I don't recommend going that low to the point where it's blurring everything so much that everything feels tiny in the render, because it's just a very unnatural look. You don't get that much blur with a real camera. The default value of around 2.8 is actually fine. You can go a little lower down to maybe 1.8 if you want a little bit more, but I wouldn't recommend going too much past that. This is actually a good value to leave it on f2.8. And then again, I'm just focusing on the focal point, which is this bookshelf. That means foreground elements like this vase thing here are going to be a little bit out of focus, and that can create a really pleasant look in the render. It can make it feel more natural. It's not something you have to do though. Sometimes I just leave it off. Okay, so we can even go further. We can pull this back and we can go up to like 50 millimeters, which is the default focal length. And that's another shot that would work as well. So I'll put up some different examples of different focal lengths that I've shot this at. Again, if we just look at this one and compare this looks totally different than having it way back here at 50 millimeters. Even if we're kind of capturing the same amount of stuff, it just creates a different look, and you can get just a different different feeling depending on where the camera is positioned and what focal length you use. I just want to point out here too, the common thing that's happening in all these shots is we have the main point of interest around this section right here, and above, below, and beside that, we're leaving some kind of breathing room for that thing, and just giving it a bit of space so that it doesn't feel cramped on any side. It's pretty common for beginners to not leave enough space for things to breathe, where things can be just a little bit too close to the edge of the frame where it just feels a little tight, or it's just a little too much space there where it's kind of weighted a little bit heavy on the bottom compared to the top. So you want to just keep that in mind. You're trying to create balance in all directions if you can, and that's going to make everything just feel nicer to look at. So you could even try angles where the camera's elevated at a crazy angle like this. Again, it just feels unbalanced pointing in this direction. So I'm going to hit R. In this case, I'll just hit X and then X one more time to rotate on the camera's local X axis. So we can just rotate it straight down like that. Let's pull it back a little bit here. Let's maybe just bring this down a little lower, rotate this back up. And that's another angle that could work as well. It kind of feels like we're on a balcony or something here. That's fine. I would render at this angle as well. That's totally usable. Again, it just depends on the look you want to go for. This kind of implies something different than being on the ground. It implies that there's elevated spaces in here that we're high up off the ground, that, you know, it just kind of can tell a little bit of a different story of what's happening here depending on the angle you choose. So there's no wrong answers. There are angles that will look better than others. You just have to go and find them and try different angles. Try this method that I'm showing here of duplicating the camera and leaving certain angles you think will work in the scene just as empty cameras, and you can always control the numpad 0 back into them and even render multiple times and pick the shots that you think work best. Let's take a look at another example here. This is a bit of a different angle than the last one, so let's just look at what's going on here. You can see if we just look at what this render looks like, we're quite low down looking up at this thing. That's a way that you can make things feel just larger, more like overpowering, just having the camera low looking up at a big thing. If you just look at this in 3D space, this might help you kind of understand exactly what I'm doing here. You can see my other temporary cameras of different angles I've tried when I made this, but here's the one I ended up with. If you just kind of look at the scene in 3D space and then look at where this camera is in relation to that, that should give you a better idea of exactly what's happening here. So if we look at the camera settings, 35 millimeters, again, the default is 50. So I've just pulled it out a little bit to 35. It's not quite as wide as the other one, which I shot at around 24 millimeters. You can see that just for this one, I felt like it was a bit too wide angle. So I just brought it into 35. Okay, so let me show you maybe some different angles that might work here. Again, let's just duplicate this camera, control numpad 0 into this one so that we are saving the other angle. I can go back to that at any time and I can just experiment with the new camera. Let's try like 50 millimeters and let's just see what it can get if I zoom this in. So let's bring that there. Let's just rotate the camera down this way. So the controls that you might find helpful here are RXX. If I hit RX, it's going to do like this angle, right? So I have to hit RX and then X one more time to rotate on the camera's local X axis. Same with moving it. So GZZ will pull it straight back. That's a nice thing to be able to do. And if you just do those two things, RXX and GZZ, those will be very helpful. Let's just pull this up a little bit, back a little bit. That tree is floating, so I don't want to capture that as much. Let's maybe zoom in to 70 millimeters. That's another angle that could totally work, right? It's not, there's nothing wrong with how that looks. It's not the final angle that I chose, but that could totally work as well. We could even, let's just duplicate this again. Let's go to something wider. Let's go to like 20 millimeters, right? There's no right answers here. It's just moving it around, trying out different ways of capturing it, and trying to find something that just works with the render that you're in, right? If we were on the bridge looking at this could work as well. This feels like we're exploring this and walking around here if we're on this actual surface here. So we can pull it back. Let's go to 24 millimeters maybe. That's another angle that could totally work. In one of my recent videos, I did a street render where it was at 70 millimeters. That's not something I do that often, but when I do it, it's quite fun to do that sometimes. If we look at this render here, this one is quite wide. This one is, what is this one at? This is at 16 millimeters. So that's a very, very wide angle. That's not, I usually wouldn't go any wider than that. You can, but if you start getting past this, it's a little bit risky to look. It might just look very unnatural. So this is already extremely wide, and this is still within like a normal range of what a camera could realistically do. When you start getting like below 10, then it starts to get like just crazy. But you can see in a narrow setting like this, where it's just a kind of tube going down of just stuff, it's kind of hard to use a higher focal length, because if I zoom this in, in order to capture all that, you can't really reach that, like especially if you're on the default focal length of 50 millimeters. There's no way you're going to get all that in the frame. You could get a totally interesting shot, like if let's like duplicate this and move it up. Let's set it to 50 millimeters and let's just try and do that. You could like make this work, but it would have a completely different look than the wide angle shot. Like there's no wrong way to do it. It's just, if you want a certain look, you're gonna have to use a certain focal length. And having a high focal length like this, looking way down or at a different angle, that could work as a render. I could just make this, build the scene a little bit more around this angle, and that could totally be a valid option. But if you want to capture all of it in that way that the wide angle looks, you're just not going to be able to do that without widening the lens to something like 16 millimeters in a shot like this. And that, again, that's just what lets you capture all this stuff around it. I just love wide angle shots. It's really fun to do that. Again, remember what I said about focal point as well. You want to have kind of one interesting thing that stands out above everything else. In this case, that's probably these signs here, this just general area. It's not as clear in this one, but that's still definitely a factor here. By the way, I should mention, if you want to learn how to make this render from scratch, this is part of the Cyber Environments course. That's something I've spent months making, just to try and boil down this way of creating renders like this into a thing that anyone can just follow and then learn how to make as easily as possible. So it comes with a whole bunch of 3D assets that I use in my own work. It teaches you how to make 10 different environments. You don't have to go through all of them. Once you get past the first few, it's meant for you to kind of just pick the ones that are most interesting to you. If you've made it this far in the video, you're probably qualified for that. It's just meant for people who already know the very basics of Blender and want to take their environments really to the next level. So anyways, I'll leave a link below to that if you want to check that out, if it sounds interesting to you. Anyways, I think that's it for this one. The main thing I want to point out here is don't neglect the camera angle, because it's the only way that anyone else is going to see what you've made, and it can totally transform how the image looks. As you saw with this last one here, when I was moving it around, it had a totally different look and didn't look very nice in the other angles that I was choosing. When I came back here, now the scene looks actually good and complete and nice to look at. A lot of the times, like I said at the beginning, when I'm struggling with a scene, often just moving the camera somewhere else, zooming it out or zooming it in, and just changing the position can totally transform how the render looks. And yeah, it's worth just spending a bit more time and getting used to moving the camera and trying different angles, trying different focal lengths. It can really make a huge difference to how your work looks in the end. Okay, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. I hope this was useful. Again, this one will be linked below in the Cyber Environments course. Other than that, thanks for watching, And so yeah.